Ask Reddit. High-rise and hotel window washers of Reddit. What's the weirdest thing you've spotted when descending to a room? I only ask because I was in a hotel room, sitting naked at my laptop, working. Thank you. And this lad just drops down into mutual view, notices me. I know he ducking had to, played it off like nothing, washed the window, and then continued on his merry way. It felt like the reaction of a man that has clearly seen much worse. I do high-rise window cleaning in Vancouver. Nothing exciting. Mostly do residential buildings. Most people are at work. Normally it's just cats or old Asian women saying you didn't clean their window well enough. If you do come across somebody naked, you just tend to ignore it and clean the window and move on. Each section takes less than a minute and most of the time you can only see your own reflection until you clean the window. I have a coworker who did window cleaning in Australia for a long time, and she had seen some wild stuff. More partying and drinking and drugs over there in the daytime. Not a window washer but building restoration. It took us about a week to finish a drop of 15 floors, so for a full week, as our lift went up every morning, we were treated to a pretty damn attractive woman in her late 40s standing stark naked in front of a sliding glass door, drinking a cup. She always smiled and waved and never seemed the least bit embarrassed. It took us about a week to finish a drop of 15 floors. How long was it supposed to take? A couple hours. Not so much a window washer but window replacer. Woman, mid-20s, daughter of the homie owner, walked into the room like she had 1,000 times before, took her clothes off faster than I could say excuse me ma'am, allow me to avert my gaze, but when I did get words out she screamed and ran out of the room. A little while later her mother came out and asked if that meant they'd get a discount. So she tried to pimp her daughter out. Oh boy, this is my time to shine baby. I've been an industrial window cleaner for 20 years now. This is me other pics there too. But basically I've seen lots and lots of nudity, lots of drugs, and lots of naked / half naked people in bed. The usual stuff really. Had one old lady, maybe 50, 60-ish, in a dressing gown sat on her chair while on the phone looking directly at me. Nothing new there, we get watched a lot, but this old lady opened up her dressing gown, spread one of her legs on the arm of the chair and starts freaking off right in front of me, while still chatting away on the phone too with a huge smile on her face. I was thinking maybe she was on a sex line or something and me being there was just a little extra thrill. She had a wicked grin on her face and was rubbing that pussy fast, I remember that. Either way it was just my luck that the first time some woman exposes her moggy to me on purpose, it's an old dear who was ugly as sin. Why can't I get the 22-year-old hotties doing that crap? Another funny memory I have is about 6 years ago I was working on the Manchester Universities doing the student digs on some tower block. I abseiled down to this window and seen a massive fat bird right in front of the window with no knickers on and her shirt tucked under her chin exposing her breasts. She was, I think, getting tissue balls out of her pubes. I abseil down and just see these two fried egg titties looking at me, a background white belly and a big black bush in between her legs. She was looking down at her bush, t-shirt tucked under her chin, while running her fingers through her pubes and flicking whatever it was away. Now I'm about 1 foot away from the girl, but she has her head down and seems to be quite captivated in what she is doing. I go through the usual thought of should I just leave this window and carry on down. As if she sees me, she could say I was perving on her, and I don't want them accusations. Maybe I was having a perv, but I don't want my boss to know that, do I? Or should I just carry on pretending everything is normal? Well, I carried on obviously, as there is always the chance these people a day or two later will complain that their windows weren't cleaned. Which means I gotta go back to the job, re-rig all my ropes up, get permits, risk assessments and all that shit, just for one freaking window. Been there, done that before. So yeah, I just carried on. So this chick finally sees me after about 10 seconds of rifling through her bush, has a look of horror on her face and immediately closes the curtains. I wasn't looking directly at her obviously, but I can see her in my peripheral vision. The poor girl got a helluva shock. Thing I was thinking though is, why would you stand in front of a window while you rummage through your pubes? Maybe the light was bad in her room or something. But people can see my ropes outside the window way before I come down. You'd think some people would be like, shit, the window cleaner is coming. best not to stand in front of the window half naked, or maybe she was just putting on a show. There is a certain version there, I think. Some chicks love to tease the window cleaner. I've been flashed a fair few times. I've seen naked dudes in bed, naked chicks, seen one woman getting rogered from behind something fierce while she was just playing on her phone. Saw a crap load of weed and coke, a few dirty spoons from the smack heads. But what is surprising to me is the absolute squalor some people live in. I'm talking well off people too. People in luxurious apartments that cost $1,000 a week to rent. You'd be amazed how some people are so clean and presentable in their daily lives, but live in filth. One woman I remember, a doctor around mid-40s, had just bags and bags of trash waste high all around the place. It was piled up against the windows. Bedroom was the same, with a dirty mattress on the floor where she sleeps. Crazy stuff. It's probably just laziness, or maybe it's some mental thing. I don't know. I'm just a lowly window cleaner. But honestly, it's a great job. Pays good money, and I work outdoors for a living. Always in a different place most days. I do work all over the UK and I kinda enjoy working away from home. I get to see new places, go out on the piss with the lads, and we eat like kings seeing as it's on the company's dollar. Working in different locations and meeting new people helps keep it fresh, as working in an office looking at the same four walls day after day would probably send me batty. I can have a smoke/coffee break anytime I want. Me and my lads are basically our own bosses, and as long as we get the job done on time with no complaints, then all is good with the world. Some days we just spend all day in the lift/elevator housing reading newspapers and drinking coffee until we all get really bored and we are like, weather ain't gonna clear, let's go home and pull it back tomorrow. I managed to watch the entire series of Breaking Bad while at work over the course of a couple of months or so. It's cushy as hell. And once you do your OP access training, then it's honestly a piece of cake. And it's nowhere near as dangerous as people think. As long as you do your basic checks, make sure the anchor points have been tested, watch the sharp edges on ledges for abrasion etc, then it's virtually impossible to kill yourself. Unless you actually take a knife out and start cutting your ropes while you're on them, it's pretty darn difficult to have an accident. Complacency is a killer in this game, so if you keep your wits about you, have your mates watch your back, then you'll be just fine. 18 years abseiling now and not a sniff of an accident. Touch wood. I was at the gyno for my annual visit waiting for the doctor to come in. I'm sitting in the chair, feet in the stirrups facing the window, when I start to see the ropes of them coming up to next floor. I have never been frozen in fear like that in my life, haha. Luckily the receptionist ran in at the last second and closed the blinds before they totally came up. Few years back at the age of 17 I took a full 3-day safety training and did this as a part-time to get quick cash. This was in Chicago at the Holiday Inn. Me and my partner, 25-ish, at the time we're almost done with our shift as it become close to dark. As we get to this one room, it was oddly brighter than usually rooms. When we reach it, we find a group of people in animal costumes rubbing and smacking each other. Me and my partner were like, WTF. The room was full of glitter on the floors and had a bunch of rainbow type crap sprayed on the walls. We wanted to finish quick. As we started descending they caught us and gave us what looked like sharp looks, but we couldn't tell because of the wolf heads and animal heads and borders they had on. We booked it and told the front desk what was up. After they checked it out they got back to us and told us they kicked them out and damages the room. So it was out of service last time I checked. Finally a question I can answer. We were cleaning a fairly tall building 12 stories adjacent to an equally tall government office building. This office building had several bedrooms on the top level, which we could see from the roof, but certainly not from the ground. From where we were standing this bedroom was about 10 meters away. As we're setting up, a naked dude jumps onto his bed with an iPad and starts masturbating furiously, facing us. Not weird necessarily, but certainly unpleasant. My girlfriend and I were ducking, and above the head of our bed was a small window. I look up and see someone looking in. He notices that I saw him, quickly squeegees the window, then disappears down his ladder. And this is when you realized you were at home in your 2-story house at which you don't pay window cleaners. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video please leave a like down below and we'll see you in the next one.